Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, Manchester United 3, Fulham 1. What an interesting second half. Fulham down to 9 men. Well, yeah, down to 9 men and the manager getting sent off. I'll get to all that in a minute. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you made of all of it, because it was a bit of a strange one to say the least. The first half, United were poor. Beginning the second half, United were poor. Started to get going a little bit, especially when Anthony came on for McTominay. And then we had just a minute of madness from Fulham. Sancho getting the penalty by having a shot that Willian saved with his hand on the line. Nothing too dramatic about it, he didn't think, in terms of, is it a penalty? It's a penalty, it's a red card. Seems pretty stonewall on all fronts, but then, maybe you can sort of explain this to me. When the referee goes over to the VAR monitor to have a look at it, Marco Silva loses his head, says something to him, gets a red card. The referee then has a look at it, can see it's a penalty and a red card, goes over, sends Willian off. When he sends Willian off, Mitrovic loses his head, pushes the referee, gets a red card. So Fulham have got the manager sent off, which, okay, in the grand scheme of things, isn't too disastrous. Willian sent off, and United have got a penalty, which is obviously giving Manchester United a massive advantage. And then Mitrovic sent off as well, which meant effectively the game's over. You're down to 9 men, your striker, he's off. Willian's off as well. United got a penalty, which Bruno Fernandes converted. I mean, that was the end of the game as a spectacle, or as a competitive game, really, wasn't it? And then we have a goal from Marcel Sabitzer and another one from Bruno Fernandes to seal it. On paper, it looks like a comfortable afternoon for Manchester United. 3-1, no drama. But it wasn't a good performance. And until Fulham completely lost their minds, United had to sort of struggle a little bit, or just before Fulham lost their minds, when we got awarded that penalty, United struggled a little bit, but like I said, the substitution made a massive difference. Get involved in the chat and the comments, let us know what you said, what you think, Fergal McClellan says, it's all got lost in that madness. De Gea was a massive reason when the semi-final. Had a very good game today, David De Gea. I've been critical of him at times, praised him a lot at other times, and I thought today you saw the best of De Gea. Some big saves in big moments that we needed. And I think when it comes to it, push comes to shove, his shot stopping isn't really under question. It's the command of his area and his distribution that people question. And I think today, he did the things that you want him to do right. He did them very, very well. And there was a couple of big saves in that moment, in that match. One from Mitrovic, I think when Fulham were 1-0 up, which would have made it 2-0. And then that's probably the tie. So, yeah, I agree with that. Tim Sims says, without a doubt, we were lucky. Emphasis on the word lucky. Fulham had us from the start until they self-destructed. Glad the international break is up next and we have another Wembley trip. But facing Mitoma will be tough. So it's Brighton in the semi-final. And then if City beat Sheffield United, which, let's face facts, they're going to, it's Manchester City in the final. But if United play like we did today against Brighton, we'll lose. I genuinely think we will lose. We have to perform better. Now, I will say this. The United have been playing, I think I read somewhere, for 18 weeks straight, 2 games a week. So we've had midweek matches pretty much every week for, I think it's 18 weeks. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the start. So you can understand why the players looked a little bit leggy, why we didn't get going. Now, I'm not excusing it, because I feel that, you still expect better, but there are reasons behind it. Sooner or later, this game's going to catch up with you. Now we've got this international break. I would love Marcus Rashford. He went off today early. I don't think it was an injury. I think it was more just he was goosed. I'd love him to turn around and say to Gareth Southgate, I'm not 100%. I can't play. I would. And I don't think he will, because he loves playing for his country, and I understand that. But I'd love it if he did. Seriously. I'd love it if one or two other players, basically, maybe Luke Shaw as well, I think he's in the England squad. Maybe he can do the rest. Bruno Fernandes is just the energizer bunny. He just keeps going, doesn't he? He probably doesn't need the rest. But I just feel that these players looked like they were tired. They looked like it was, a game where it caught them a little bit. Fulham had 7 days rest, I think. United had 3. That showed. But we got there. We got there in the end. And a big part of that, yes, the decisions went our way and the red cards and all that. But Erik ten Hag making that substitution, that tweak, McTominay for Anthony, it just worked. All of a sudden, United were more on the front foot. Anthony was getting a lot of the ball. We looked more positive. It was a really clever move. But yeah, when you lose your heads the way that Fulham did, you're going to lose football matches. You can't do that. Like, as soon as that, I mean, the manager set the tone, because he lost his head as soon as the referee goes over to the monitor. I mean, why he's losing his mind there? If the referee got in his ear, someone telling him to go over to the VAR monitor, what's he meant to say? No. So he went over to the monitor. Silva steams over to him, starts ranting, gets a red card. I don't know what he said, but obviously something that was red card worthy. Then, as he's coming off, I think he, if I get my order right, he sent off Willian, and then Mitrovic pushes him. I mean, it's unprofessional. It is. I know we all love to see players showing their emotions, and I'm the worst for it. I love a bit of that and the fighting spirit and get stuck in and let's get into him and all that sort of stuff. And I don't mind it when players sort of have a bit of a shout at the referee or whatever, but you've got to do better there. Mitrovic has got to think to himself, right, we're that 10 men, they've got a penalty, they're more than likely going to score. It's going to be 1-0 with 10 men. I've got a job to do here. And Fulham still could have had a chance of going through. They could have. They were up against it with 10 men at Old Trafford, but it wouldn't have been the end of the tie because Fulham were by far the better team. So they still had a puncher's chance of getting some out of it, of winning, if Mitrovic stays on the pitch. But as soon as he gets that red card, it's over. You're not beating United with 9 men. Not Eric Ten Hag's United, anyway. I've got a quote from Marcel Sabitzer. It says, asked if United deserved to win. He says, we won it, why not? We scored 3, they scored 1. I love that. That Austrian efficiency. Yeah? No messing about. Chris Strouder even says, Mitrovic is off his head. Get involved in the comments in the chat. Hit that like button as well. Liron Venado says, semi-finals are so long away. Manish Bandari says, Jay, will our squad be too knackered in the last few games of the season? Mardragon says, Marco Silva could manage a big club. I disagree. I'll be honest with you. He's had a few jobs, Marco Silva. I think Fulham suits him. I really do. I don't know if he's a big time manager. I'll be honest with you. A big club manager. He did all right at Hull, even though they got relegated. I think he was on a bit of a poison chalice there. Watford, it all fell apart for him. Everton, it pretty much all fell apart for him. Got the Fulham gig, did very well. He's done very well there. I don't know if he's the man for a bigger job. I'm not so sure. I think Fulham might be perfect. Neo Wolf says, got a job offer on Friday and this gift today. Drinks are on me in New York City. Thanks, Neo. You're going to meet up with us in New York for pre-season. Yeah? We'll be over there, man. Let's meet up. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Hit that like button as well. Let's smash a like, as they say. Let's get to 500 likes. Danny Foster says, David De Gea should have got man of the match. Kept us in it. I thought David De Gea had a very good game today. Marco Silva, him at Fulham is his level. I don't see him pushing to be a top manager, says Ross Murphy. I agree with that, bro. I think Marco Silva is a decent manager for Fulham. I don't think he's a top level coach. He's had a few jobs now, and he's been sacked from nearly all of them. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason for that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's that he's been unlucky. I think he's just got a certain level. Let us know what you thought of the game. Did you think that David De Gea was man of the match? If not, who did you think was man of the match? Roy Keane was asked if United have been lucky. He says yes, but it's better to be lucky than good sometimes. I agree. Well said, Roy Keane. He was saying before the game that United have been poor. Marco Silva's giving an interview now. I'm interested to see what he's got to say, because I think as a manager, right, and you may disagree, get involved in the chat and let me know what you think. You need to sort of set a bit of an example to your players. Now, you know, right, what's going on here. You know the referee's been called over. It's VAR. It's handball. It's a red card more than likely. Right, I'm going to be that 10 men. They're going to more than likely equalise. What are my tactics? What am I saying? What am I thinking now? Here's what we need to do. Here's what we need to adjust. Not lose your head. Lose your head and go running over to the referee and say something to him so egregious he gives you a red card. And that sets a tone for your team then. Then Mitrovic loses his head. Like, Marco Silva's got to take some responsibility, because as a manager, right, I get you're upset, but there's got to be a part of you that thinks, has he handballed it? It looks like he has because he's got over VR. Is it going to be a red? All right, he stopped a goal. Yeah, he's probably going to get a red card. There's not really a massive sense of injustice here, to me, unless I'm missing something. So you think, right, with your managerial head on, I've got a problem I've got to fix. And he didn't. He just lost his head and sort of set an example to his team, the wrong example. And then Mitrovic loses his head and the game's over. So, I don't know. Am I being harsh on Marco Silva? Let us know what you think. Right, Ross Murphy says, Silva going on about Mitrovic. The guy was looking for that pen. He dived. All right, he's talking about a a penalty. We'll get some quotes. If you can find the quotes from what Marco Silva's said, we'll go through him because I'm quite interested to see what he said actually, because I just found that whole situation or that whole minute really baffling. Like the way that he lost his mind with the referee when he's watching the video replay was just odd. Do you know what I mean? I don't get it. I don't know why he was so angry so quickly. Like, okay, you might think you should have had a penalty at some point, or you might see that the game's getting away from you. You might think, okay, that's going to be a red card and a handball. But the way to deal with it isn't to go over and scream at the referee as he's getting ready to watch the video. And it was straight away. I'm sorry, that's just... It's not one of those where you go, oh, he's unlucky now, the referee's against us. I'm sure Fulham fans will think they've been hard done by. I'm sure there's a lot of them thinking, oh, you go to Old Trafford, it's typical, referees are in the pockets of the Old Trafford crowd and you don't get anything, we've been hard done by. But I'm struggling. I mean, that's not true. If you look at United at Old Trafford this season, I've watched every single game United played at Old Trafford this season, and I've watched nearly all of them at Old Trafford, and the refereeing has been awful, honestly. I've seen some staggeringly bad performances from referees. And I've said that after we've won. I said that after we beat Crystal Palace. I said the referee was terrible today and we'd won the game. You know, it's not... And I'm not talking about everything. I know there's situations where, you know, you might have Casemiro's red cards and stuff like that. I understand. I know why they're given. But we've had so many situations and tackles and penalty incidents that have been looked at, and I just think the referee's been very, very poor. I don't think it's a case of, you know, I know people are going to go, well, you're saying this because the referee's works in your favour, but I don't see anywhere else he had to go with those decisions. Get involved in the chat in the comments, let me know. If VAR calls you over and shows you that, how is it not a handball and a red card? It's so blatant. How can you not send off Mitrovic for pushing you? Like, what's he meant to do in those situations? I just don't think there's any way you can argue that it's all on the referee. I'm sure there's people that disagree. There's Fulham fans that might think they were hard done by, but for me, it was just a case of lost your head. Willian, I kind of get it. I think that when someone's shooting and you're in front of the goal, and I've done it with, I know I'm not at that level, obviously, but you know you've played five-a-side or not five-a-side, 11-a-side, and someone's shot and you're the last man and you just can't help yourself sometimes, you just block it with your hand. It's easily done. I think that can happen to anyone, and we've seen it happen to so many players over the years. He did it. You know what's coming next. He tried to blag it, didn't he, when he said, "Oh, it hit my chest," but it obviously didn't. It was a yellow card, red card, and a penalty. I just don't understand what went on with Fulham. I really don't. Silver on talking about United. He says, "Of course we respect them, but we were the best team on the pitch up until that incident. You were." I agree with that, but your heads went. There's no two ways about it. You just completely lost the plot. We'll get into some of the chat, sorry. Danny Foster's been a member of the Academy 15 months. Thanks for your support. Says, Jay, who do you think plays CDM next game? I know it was more McTominay's day. I wonder, I think Sabitzer can play there. And I wonder whether he uses him there. He can play almost anywhere in midfield, Marcel Sabitzer. So I wouldn't be surprised if he came in and slotted into that role. McTominay's the obvious one. Don't think he played. He was okay for most of the game, Scott McTominay. I just do think at times you need a little bit more quality at times. And I know that's proper fence sitting, but I said it during the watch along. I've liked McTominay since he's been here at the club, since he came through. Good on his lad. I think he'll go in the summer. I do. Kevin, who's been a member of the first team for 32 months, says refs have been so bad it's like playing 12 men. We always need them to go to VAR, even when it's blatant. Shocking. That does worry me sometimes. I think there was one with Andre Mariner against, I think it was against Crystal Palace. The handball, when the ball was crossed in and the kids handballed it and he had to go to VAR, that was really, really amazing to me, because he's right in front of him and he handballs it up here to cut the cross out, and he went to VAR. I was shocked. I mean, we got the decision in the end, but why are you going to VAR? Why can't you see that? It's right in front of you. And we saw it the other week when Anthony Taylor was right in front of him, that handball. And I think there's a part of him thinking, oh, if it's a handball, they'll call it VAR. But then the counter sort of, the catch-22 of that is, if you've not given it and you've seen it, sometimes, not all the time, they'll think, is it clear and obvious? Or has the referee decided it's not? And is he right? I just don't like VAR, I'll be honest with you. And I know it's sort of helps us today, but I would be more than happy if they said we're getting rid of it. Maybe just for offsides they keep it, because that's more scientific. That's more the line is here, even though it's not perfect. We've seen ones that you can argue about all day long. There is a bit more of it's a line. Is it over that line? Is it not? I feel like with some of these decisions, we're still getting them wrong. Ariaran Remesh says, who do you think would buy McTominay in the summer? I don't think he's worth a bag of beans, to be honest. So evident the lack of quality we have been playing out from midfield when he's in the team. He was linked with Newcastle, I think. Would you have him at Newcastle? Yeah. Ethan, our resident Geordie, says, I'd love him at Newcastle. He'd be our best ever player. It'd be like having Robert Lee all over again. That's what he just said. Manish Bandari says, Jay would be more happy if Jayden scored it the first time or the penalty situation that resulted now. Well, I think the penalty situation won us the game, so I'd say that, because I think if Jayden does score, which I was sort of shouting at him on Twitter earlier, if he had done it, we don't get the goal and they go down to 9 men as well, which is what happened with the penalty. It was, so it worked out for the best, although I would have liked to have seen Jayden put it away first time, but it worked out well. And I thought Jadon Sancho came into the game more in the second half. Obviously, it helps you down 9 men, but I don't think he was playing particularly well before that. Bo from California says, Casemiro, Ericsson and Sabitzer next season. UTFP, yep. I like that. I do. I think Bruno as well. Obviously, I don't think Bruno's going to get dropped. I think, though, you've got options there. Get Sabitzer signed up for me. I'm not saying that just because of today. I think he's a quality player and I think he'll be available on the cheap. Henry C says, let's get political, Jay. Can we beat those Seagulls? Yes, I think we can. You got to fancy United to beat Brighton. And I think the hopefully we'll have a bit more of a rest. I know we won't, because it's further down the line, but hopefully the players won't be as tired going into that game as they were going into this one. That's what I'm trying to say. David Backer says, love Sabitzer. Let us know your man of the match. Christoph Joseph says Sabitzer is awful. That is one of the worst takes I've ever read. I don't know where you're getting his awful from. I'll be honest with you, bro. Sorry, I can't agree. Santa Knox says, how poor were we without our summer midfield signings? But we keep going. Yes, we do. Free Scoring says, Sabitzer is average. Why sell one and get another? I don't get that. Aaron Teckle says, my guy's confident of beating Brighton. I fancy us for it. Going to be a tough game, though. And like I say, hopefully it won't be knackered for it. But Brighton are doing well. Let's have it right, though. United are a better team than Brighton. There's a reason that we've done what we've done in all the cup competitions and we're sat, third in the league at the minute. Like, Brighton are having a good season, but I don't know what metric you'd go, well, Brighton are better than Manchester United. All right, what makes you say that? Where's the evidence to support that? There isn't any. It's easy to hate on United and go, United haven't been great this season, or United haven't been great lately, and obviously the result at Anfield and all the rest of it. But United are still, let me just have a quick look here, 8 points above Brighton. Brighton have got a game in hand, to be fair, but we're still well above them in the league. And also, we've won a trophy already, and we're through to the last 8 of the... Is it the last 8 or the last 16? I think it's the quarterfinals, isn't it, of the Europa League. Yeah, of course it's quarterfinals. So, we're having a good season, and I'd argue we've got a better team than Brighton. I don't think that's a controversial opinion there. Some people seem to think it is. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think. Do you fancy us against Brighton? I think it'll be tough, but let's have it right. The easiest one would have been Sheffield United. The hardest one, obviously, Manchester City. So we've got the one in the middle. I think we're going to face Manchester City in the final if we get past Brighton. Liron Venado, member of the Academy of 26 months, thanks for your support. Says second leg versus Sevilla on Thursday and Brighton on Sunday. Not a lot of rest late in the season. What are the fixtures here now? Yeah, it's they're piling up, aren't they? They are. I mean, you keep saying that. I think saying we're going to get a breather. We've got the international break, then it's Newcastle. Then 3 days later, it's Brentford. Then 3 days after that, it's Everton. Then 5 days after that, it's Sevilla in the quarter-final. And 3 days after that, it's Forest away, sorry. Then 4 days after that, Sevilla. Then, Jesus wept. Is that right? Yeah. So you play... Oh, no. Well, that doesn't make any sense. The fixture list that I'm looking at. It's got us playing Brighton and Chelsea on the same day. on the 22nd of April. We play Brighton. This is a joke, this. We play Brighton at 3 o'clock in the FA Cup semi-final. And then we're playing Chelsea at 5:30 at Old Trafford. How's that work? Eh? What we make it there inside? That's disgusting, that. Eh? Stitched up, fixture list pile. I'm playing 2 games in one day. Up at opposite ends of the country as well. Eh? Absolute ABU. Andrew Naked says, I hope Rashford has an injury for an international break. Maybe a few others too. I agree. He's put injury in inverted commas there in case anyone thinks he's been saying he hopes Marcus Rashford is injured. But no, I think that would be good. That's the kind of thing that we used to see Sir Alex Ferguson do. Witterbird in the chat says, where some teams have 9 out of 10 games left to play, United have 13, possibly 15 games left. Just piling up, aren't they? They keep going. But, it's a good thing. They keep going they keep coming because we keep going far in the cup competitions. But yeah, there's no sort of rest, is there? Glenn F says, what about changing the shape to 4-3-3? Could work, couldn't it? Chris Cogdill, says 9 matches in April. Jesus wept. Yeah. Jesus wept indeed. Don't forget as well, on Stretford Paddock, we have got merch available. Including Bruno Fernandes merch, I believe. So go and check out at paddockmerch.com. Go and check that out and have a look. We'll put, in fact, I'll do a little, we'll put a little thingy in the old, a little link in the chat. Yeah, there's a few different bits and pieces we've got on there as well. Let us know what you think. Do you fancy your chances? Quite a lot of people watching. Let's get to, come on people, there's almost 4,000 watching. I put a link in the chat for, the Stretford Paddock merch. Do you fancy us against Brighton? How do you think the season's going to pan out now? Because we're going to have to face City if we get past Brighton. Do you still fancy us for the FA Cup? What would be a good season for you? Because now you're at that stage, aren't you, where if we don't win another trophy, me personally, I'd be a little bit disappointed. Yeah? I'd be a little bit like, after getting to the semis of the FA Cup and getting to the quarters of the Europa League, especially when you look at that Europa League and you go, we're the best team in this competition. I believe we are anyway. And you look at the FA Cup and you go, beat City, you win the trophy. And I think we could beat City on our day. We did it the other week, sorry. James Wood says, this is where United should be, challenging in all competitions, going towards end of the season. Let's enjoy it. Full sale only, Glazers out. Keep hearing this full sale only thing, Glazers out. Listen, just want the Glazers out, mate. Just want them gone. Do you know what I mean? That's what we need. Stephen Howson in the chat. Wembley. Are we having it, Steve? What? Are we going to the semi-final? We're going to, aren't we? I don't know why I'm asking you that. We're going to end up going there. Because I was part of me was thinking, I don't know if I'll do it. You know what? Semi-final. We'll go. We'll be hearing from Stephen Howson shortly, actually. Make sure you go and check out his channel as well, Stephen Howson TV. I did a thing with him the other day. Where me and him spoke about Mason Mount and should he come to Manchester United in the summer. Ross Murphy says, we're the famous Man United and we're going to Wembley. Again, Santa Knott says Steve loves London. George Sayer saying, Jay living rent-free in Mitro's head. Is that Mitrovic? I got into his head. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up with what's going on here. I might have just completely lost the plot. That there, London, says Chris Strava. Yes. Tyler Johnson says, have a good one, Jay. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. It's been a great chatting to you. Manchester United, we are going to Wembley again after beating Fulham at Old Trafford, thanks in no small measure to 2 red cards, which was pretty funny, wasn't it? Watching that Fulham meltdown. We'll be hearing from Stephen Howson a bit later on, get his take on it as well. But looking forward to another trip to Wembley, FA Cup semi-final. And if we beat Brighton, which is hard because you've got Danny Welbeck, who's mint, then we'll face Manchester City if they get past Sheffield United, which is going to, in the final. So it's all to play for. Make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Before we go, though, Pig Greaser says, how much would the FA and the tabloids destroy United if they did what Fulham did today? That's a good point. I think Fulham have got a nice bit of fines to look forward to. I think the FA are going to have a field day with him. I've been Jay Moy. This has been the live review. Thanks for watching.